Chapter 4484. Clang. Yi Wu threw out a punch and hit the Bingxian staff. Instantly, Lu Ming felt an indestructible and overwhelming force rushing toward him from the Bingxian rod. His body could not help but retreat as he coughed out large mouthfuls of blood. His arm was almost shattered by the powerful force. It was covered with cracks and blood was flowing out. Forbidden power. This is the forbidden power, Lu Ming was shocked. He was all too familiar with taboo powers. Once Yi Wu used it, Lu Ming could sense that this was taboo power. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others were also shocked. They stared at Yi Wu. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? It was unbelievable. Legend had it that the forbidden power was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. The forbidden body was the natural enemy of the heavenly human tribe. How could a member of the heavenly human tribe control the forbidden power? No, it's an incomplete forbidden power. It's not complete. There's only half of it. It might have been extracted from someone else. Lu Ming shouted. He remembered that when he was captured, the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the forbidden power from him. Perhaps the forbidden power controlled by the heavenly human tribe was extracted from other forbidden bodies. That was why there was only half of it. A forbidden power and origin in advance. Good, very good. It's a great achievement to capture someone like you. Suppress, Yi Wu shouted. The energy in his body erupted like a volcano. This time, he used his full strength. His terrifying power directly destroyed Xian Yanqing and Dark Knight Rose's combined attack. The two of them spat out blood and flew back, crashing to the ground. Then, Yi Wu stretched out his hand. A huge palm formed and grabbed at Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Anya Rose, and the others. He wanted to suppress Lu Ming and the others with a single move. Yi Wu was too powerful. His cultivation was at the third level of the Divine Master Realm, which was far beyond what Lu Ming and the others could handle. Coupled with his terrifying combat strength, he was much stronger than Lu Ming and the others. He didn't use his full strength when he attacked Lu Ming and the others. Otherwise, he could have killed Lu Ming and the others in an instant. At this moment, he stretched out his palm. The huge palm covered the sky like a small world. The terrifying energy suppressed Lu Ming and the others and made them unable to move, let alone fight back. We still fell into Chu Yi's trap, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. At this moment, he knew that Chu Yi had tricked them. What Chu Yi said sounded true. He said that there was a supreme treasure of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court here, and that it needed many pieces of the Life Spirit Origin Stone to open it. He also said that his map was true. Otherwise, Chu Yi would not have dared to swear on his life origin. However, he had hidden the most important piece of information. That was, this place had long been occupied by the heavenly human tribe. Even if Chu Yi had obtained many life origin stone fragments, he wouldn't have dared to come here. He told Lu Ming and the others about this place so that Lu Ming and the others could come here and die. Lu Ming and the others didn't understand at that time, but it was too late now. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Down below, on the ground, the altar that had been motionless suddenly shone brightly, and a burst of energy rushed toward Yi Wu. Yi Wu was shocked and quickly retreated. However, the target of this force wasn't Yi Wu, but Lu Ming and the others. With a bang, the giant palm formed by Yi Wu was crushed by this force. Then, this force enveloped Lu Ming and the others. This force was like a strong suction force, trying to suck Lu Ming and the others into the altar. Don't resist. I'm saving you. A rough voice sounded in the ears of Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others were moved. They didn't resist at all and let the force pull them toward the altar. Although they didn't know who the other party was and whether they had any ill intentions, they had no choice now. If they were outside, they would definitely be suppressed or even killed by the heavenly human tribe. If they followed this force, they might have a chance. Soul destiny. Yi Wu roared, his anger soaring to the sky. Stop him. Yi Wu continued to shout. The 12 people who set up the array shouted at the same time and shot out a divine light to cut off the force from the altar. However, the altar shone and rushed out another force to attack the divine light. Boom. An earth-shattering rumble resounded, and energy overflowed in all directions. The entire area was covered by a sky full of multicolored light. Bang! 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 The bronze statues kept exploding. 18 of them exploded in a row. In the end, they managed to block the force from the heavenly human tribe. There seemed to be a vortex on the altar and the suction force suddenly increased. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wn Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jenny, Ling Heng, Yin Zhouling, Xiu Wuji, and 3 other young men and women flew into the altar and disappeared. D*Mnet. Yi Wu roared in anger. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 2 figures flew over. They were the 2 heavenly human tribe elders who were at 2nd level divine master realm. They had gone to kill the other 2 heavenly human tribe elders and had returned. Have you killed them? Yi Wu asked coldly as he let out a breath and calmed down. Yes, they have been killed. Here are the fragments of the Soul Destiny Stone, one of the elders replied as he passed 2 storage rings to Yi Wu. Yi Wu took the 2 storage rings and scanned them with his spiritual consciousness. He looked much better. Humph. Hunming, you can't even save yourself. You want to save them? What a joke. You destroyed 18 bronze statues to save them. Let's see how long you can resist us. Once the formation is broken, none of you will live. Yi Wu stood in the air and said to the altar. The people on the altar ignored Yi Wu. At this moment, there was a group of people staring at each other on the altar, sizing up their surroundings. The inside of the altar was very spacious and large. It was like an underground space. There was also an altar here. The altar was made of divine jade and it was covered with runes. There were also runes on the ground around the altar. These symbols shone and interweaved together to form a formation. Waves of mysterious aura were condensed from it. A figure was sitting cross-legged in the middle of the altar. The figure was in the shape of a human. He was tall and burly, but he looked miserable. He was so thin that he was just skin and bones. His eye sockets were sunken in. Occasionally, a few rays of light would flicker in them, proving that he was still alive. There was a layer of strange flames on the surface of this person's body. The flames were constantly jumping about, burning at all times. Lu Ming and the others looked at the figure carefully. It was obvious that he was the one who had brought them into the altar. Thank you for your help, Senior. Thank you for your help, Senior. Lu Ming and the others cupped their fists in gratitude. End of chapter. Chapter 4485. You don't have to be polite. I just don't want to see you die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. You are all talented and have endless potential. It would be a pity to die in the hands of the heavenly human tribe. The withered figure sitting on the altar spoke. His voice was rough, just like what they had heard before, but his aura was weak. Senior, how should I address you? Lu Ming cupped his fists and asked. You heard that heavenly human brat call me, right? My name is Hun Ming, the withered figure said. Hun Ming. Everyone was confused. They had never heard of it before. You may not have heard of my name, but you should have heard of my other title. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here, the withered voice continued. Everyone pricked up their ears to listen. This person must have a shocking background. That was their guess. They could tell by looking at the layout of the area. There were 108 bronze statues surrounding the altar. There were also 12 powerful divine weapons around the altar. The divine weapons gave off a shocking aura. Lu Ming and Anya Rose felt a sense of familiarity. Those were the 18 divine weapons of the palaces. Thinking up to this point, the 2 of them became even more bewildered as their imaginations ran wild. Hun Ming's voice continued, back then, all the races in the primitive universe called me the master of the heavenly court. Rumble. It was like a clap of thunder in everyone's mind. Everyone's eyes widened as they stared at the withered figure in shock. Shock and disbelief were in their eyes. It was shocking. It was really shocking. They had heard of the Master of the Heavenly Court. His full name was the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. This person was actually the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, known as one of the most powerful taboos in history. Legend had it that the master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court died with the destruction of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. He was still alive. This was a truly legendary figure with an incomparably long history, even before the primordial divine court. Back then, the master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had created the Life Spirit Heavenly Court with his own strength. In the end, he developed the Life Spirit Heavenly Court to fight against the Heavenly Palace. Although they were defeated in the end, the Heavenly Palace, which was at its peak, suffered a great loss. After the battle with the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, the Heavenly Palace began to decline from its peak. Only then did the archaic divine court rise. This legendary figure had appeared before them just like that. However, his appearance was a bit too miserable. After a while, Lu Ming and the others came back to their senses. "Senior, didn't you die in battle back then? What was going on now? Are those heavenly humans outside trying to deal with you? Also, why does the heavenly human tribe member outside possess half a wisp of forbidden power?" Lu Ming asked several questions. Everyone revealed curious expressions because these were the same questions in their hearts. This little fellow has so many questions. The voice of the Life Spirit, the owner of the heavenly courts, sounded, making Lu Ming feel a little awkward. However, he still looked at the other party, hoping that the other party could answer his question. "First, I'll answer your last question. The heavenly human outside is called Yi Wu. The half-taboo power in him is mine," Han Ming said. It turned out that this person was the Lord Yi Wu that the heavenly human tribe members had talked about. What was even more surprising was that the half-taboo power in Yi Wu's body actually belonged to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's master. Back then, the Life Spirit Heavenly Court was defeated and I was severely injured. A few old fellows of the heavenly human tribe wanted to extract the taboo power from me. In the end, they extracted half of it. However, I managed to escape in the end and escaped with the Life Spirit Heavenly Court to hide in the ruins of the universe. I didn't expect that after so many years, they would still find me. Yi Wu's purpose was to extract half of the taboo power from me and merge it into one to form a complete taboo power. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court's master briefly explained. Although it was very simple and understated, it was very difficult to explain. However, everyone could imagine that the battle back then must have been extremely tragic. The process of his escape must have been extremely difficult. "Senior, after so many years, you still haven't recovered?" Lu Ming asked again. After knowing Han Ming's identity, Lu Ming could not help but feel a lot closer to him. Perhaps it had something to do with the fact that they both had taboo bodies. Therefore, he became bolder and asked whatever questions he had. In front of an overlord like Han Ming, the others were a little reserved. Even Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose were the same. Although they were reincarnated, even in their previous lives, they were still children in front of Han Ming. They were the juniors of the juniors. "Difficult, difficult, difficult." Han Ming sighed and said the word difficult 3 times. "In the battle back then, my injuries were too severe. Of course, that was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that half of my taboo power was extracted and I was struck by the heavenly human tribe's 3rd generation soul fire. It's the same kind of fire that's on my body. The 3rd generation soul fire is difficult to extinguish. It's said to be able to stay with me for 3 lifetimes and constantly erode my soul, essence, and spirit. Even after the new year, it was difficult for me to recover," Han Ming said. Everyone's hearts trembled slightly. The 3rd generation soul fire. There was actually such a terrifying fire in the world that could stay with him for 3 lifetimes and could not be extinguished. It was the same even for someone as powerful as Han Ming. For countless years, he had to endure the pain of the 3rd generation soul fire without being able to recover his strength. Just thinking about it made one shudder. This is also because of the confidence of Yi Wu and the others. Otherwise, I would be able to crush these heavenly humans outside with a finger as long as I recover some of my strength, Han Ming said. A glint flashed in Han Ming's sunken eyes. Everyone felt as if they were looking at that invincible powerhouse again. "Senior, how should we get out of here?" Lu Ming asked. "It's difficult to get out of here." Han Ming sighed. Everyone's heart sank. Even Han Ming said that it would be difficult to get out. Were they really going to be trapped here until they died? Now, I'm using my remaining strength to control the array formation outside to resist. However, the other party has set up a great array formation, and there's even a heavenly monarch leading it. He's constantly breaking the array formation. Although I've summoned the 12 palace garrison divine weapons, they're not complete. They won't be able to resist for long. Han Ming said. We have 2 guardian divine weapons here. I don't know if they'll be useful. Lu Ming said. It's useless. Even with the 2 of you, we only have 14 of them. The 18 hall garrison divine weapons are incomplete, so they won't be of much use. The remaining ones should be sealed in the Celestial Palace, so I can't summon them. Han Ming shook his head and continued, originally, I wanted to summon the fragments of my Life Spirit Stone to form a complete Life Spirit Stone. The Life Spirit Stone can provide me with great strength and allow me to resist the other party for a while. However, most of the fragments have been intercepted by the other party, Bookhouse Reading website. Chapter 4486. According to the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master, he had wanted to summon the fragments of the Life Spirit Primordial Stone to form a complete Life Spirit Primordial Stone. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Human clan had intercepted most of it. Even though Lu Ming had brought a few pieces with him, they weren't useful. Lu Ming and the others finally understood why the Life Spirit Primordial Stone had acted strangely all of a sudden. It was because the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master had summoned it. The people of the Heavenly Human tribe set up a formation to destroy the formation protecting me. It has already been 3,000 years. My strength is constantly weakening. If this continues, I estimate that they will break through the protective formation in at most 3 years. With my current strength, I am definitely not their match. Now, if you want to leave safely, there's only one way, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master. What way? Everybody's eyes lit up. It's up to you. The Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master opened his turbid eyes and looked at Lu Ming. If it's up to me, I only have the strength of the 9th Great Supreme God Layer. I'm afraid I won't be of much use, said Lu Ming. No, you'll be of great use. More precisely, your forbidden strength will be of great use, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master. After a short pause, he continued, you have a forbidden body, so you have complete forbidden strength. As for me, I have a forbidden body too. I can lend you my strength and fuse it with your forbidden strength. That way, you'll be able to explode with incredible strength. It won't be difficult for you to defeat the Heavenly Human Clan's people outside. Lend me your strength. How? Asked Lu Ming. Let me enter your body and fuse with your strength. Half of my forbidden strength can fuse with half of your forbidden strength. That way, I'll be able to recover some of my strength, said the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master. Let you enter my body. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shen's expressions changed drastically. Letting someone else enter one's body was extremely dangerous. Especially someone like the Life Spirit Heavenly Quartz Master, it was even more dangerous. Besides, he looked miserable. He had been tortured by the 3-world soulfire for countless years. He looked like a lamp that was about to run out of oil. If he entered Lu Ming's master's body, would he have any evil intentions? Possession? Lin Fan had to be on guard. After all, it was impossible to judge a book by its cover. Moreover, they had only just met. Lu Ming, don't accept him. Young Master, Heavenly Quartz Master. Master. Comms Master, Heavenly Court Spirit, Heavenly Court. Heavenly Human Master. Heavenly Human Body. Had Life Spirit, Heavenly Quartz Master? Heaven's Heavenly Quartz Master, Heavenly Quartz. Heavenly Human Spirit, Heavenly Court. Said King Heavenly Court. It. The Life Spirit Heavenly Court Spirit shook his head. No matter what I say, no matter how nice it sounds, you will still have concerns. After all, we are not familiar with each other. Moreover, the Oath of Life Origin is ineffective on me. So, even if I swear, you will not believe me. Lu Ming did not say anything. Indeed, he would not believe the master's words. He would still have concerns. It's up to you to choose. If you choose to believe me, you can live. If you don't, we will die together when the protective array is broken. Everyone was silent. Dark Knight rose and the others naturally hoped that Lu Ming would agree. That way, whether Lu Ming would be possessed or not, they would have a chance to live. However, they could not persuade Lu Ming. Moreover, you don't have much time to consider. I can at most resist for 3 more years. However, it's impossible for you to have 3 years to consider. Even if you agree to let me enter your body and fuse with the taboo power temporarily, with your current cultivation, you still don't have the qualifications. Only when your cultivation reaches the Divine Master Realm will you have the right to do so. Otherwise, you will explode and die before your power can fuse. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. It requires the cultivation of the Divine Master Realm. That's impossible in 3 years. Lu Ming sighed and nodded slightly. The others also shook their heads and sighed. 3 years was too short. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Dark Knight Rose, and the others who had the strength of the top of the 9th Great Supreme God layer couldn't break through in 3 years. How could Lu Ming break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years? And Lu Ming knew that it was unlikely. Up until now, he still hadn't found the direction to break through to the Divine Master Realm. It was as if there was a dense fog in front of him, and he didn't know where to go. Obviously, his accumulation was far from enough. Not to mention 3 years, under normal circumstances, even 300, 3,000, or even 30,000 years would be impossible. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. However, with my help, it might not be impossible. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This was the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court. It was the oldest and strongest forbidden body in history. Perhaps it really could help him break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years. Originally, even with my help, I wouldn't have been able to help you break through to the Divine Master Realm in 3 years. However, you have the origin seed. This is a great shortcut that can save you a lot of time. I really didn't expect that you would be able to condense an origin seed at such a young age. You must have had some heaven-defying opportunity, right? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, swept its gaze over Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Myriad God, Dark Knight Rose, and the others. That's right. We only managed to condense the origin seed by chance. However, how will the origin seed help us break through to the Divine Master Realm? Lu Ming asked humbly. It will be of great help. For those who cultivate divine power, if they want to break through from the Divine Emperor Realm to the Divine Master Realm, they need to cultivate a universe bridge in the black hole in their body. The universe bridge will extend to the depths of the black hole. The ultimate goal of the universe bridge is to connect to the universe sea so that they can comprehend the universe origin energy. However, where is the universe sea? There is no direction. Ordinary people only know how to cultivate the universe bridge and extend it to the depths of the black hole until they reach the 9th level of the Divine Emperor Realm. Only then can they find the direction. However, you are different. You already have the origin seed and can sense the universe sea. It's like there are 2 points in space. As long as you connect the 2 points, you will be able to find a clear direction. You just need to keep going in this direction. Therefore, once you cultivate to the Divine Master Realm, your progress will be many times faster than ordinary people. Ordinary people need to cultivate and comprehend at the same time to find the direction. However, you have already set the direction. As long as you keep accumulating energy, you can continue to improve. Do you understand this explanation? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Lu Ming and the others' eyes lit up. They felt enlightened. They had heard that condensing the origin seed would be of great help to the cultivation of the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming did not understand what kind of help it would provide. Now, after the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court's explanation, he suddenly understood. End of chapter. Chapter 4487. In fact, the The black hole in a cultivator's body is equivalent to a door that leads to the universe sea. Anyone who wants to break through to the divine master realm needs this door. The life spirit master of Heavenly Court continued to explain. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly at these words. Senior, I have no door, how can I break through? Lu Ming asked. Cultivating the taboo power was completely different from ordinary cultivators. There was no black hole in his body, which meant that there was no door. How could he connect to the universe sea? So, if there is no door, you have to create one. The life spirit master of Heavenly Court said, there are two main obstacles for a taboo body to break through to the divine master realm. First, you have to create a door. Second, there will be many restrictions when breaking through to the next realm. You need to be extremely strong to break through the restrictions. You have to create your own secret skill. Create your own secret skill. When I broke through to the God Emperor realm, I created a secret skill. I wonder if it can be used? Lu Ming asked. Upon hearing this, Anya Rose, Di Jenny, and the rest looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming could create his own secret skill? This was absolutely shocking. Lu Ming was more terrifying than they had imagined. What? When you broke through to the God Emperor realm, you wanted to create your own secret skill? You even succeeded. This time, even the life spirit master of Heavenly Court was shocked. Cough cough, yes. Lu Ming coughed dryly. Young man, how many secret skills have you mastered? It seems that there are some incredible people in the universe over the years. The life spirit master of Heavenly Court exclaimed. In the era when the life spirit was the master of the Heavenly Court, there were no ancient secret skills in the universe. There were only some ordinary secret skills. Therefore, he did not expect that Lu Ming would create his own secret skill after breaking through from the Divine Emperor realm to the Divine the Arch realm. The main reason was that Lu Ming had mastered too many ancient secret skills, so there were many restrictions. After a while, the life spirit master of Heavenly Court reacted and said, no, the secret skill that you created when you were at the God Emperor realm can only help you break through to the God Emperor realm. If you want to break through to the Divine Master realm, you have to create your own secret skill. He wants to create his own secret technique within 3 years. Lu Ming was bewildered. This was simply impossible. It was too difficult. It had taken him several hundred years to create the heaven-crushing art, and he had only succeeded on the body tree stump in the Grand Supreme Immortal City. Now, he had no idea how to create the second style of the secret skill. It was almost impossible for him to succeed in creating it in 3 years. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible. However, with my help, it is possible. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Although the Master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had personally made this promise, Lu Ming still found it hard to believe. Wang. Suddenly, the altar below the Life Spirit of the Lord of the Heavenly Courts lit up. At the same time, the runes around the altar also emitted a glow. The entire underground space changed drastically all of a sudden. It was as if time and space had been reversed. Lu Ming and the group seemed to be in a starry universe. In the starry sky, there were countless stars. At this moment, they were all emitting dazzling light. Waves of gentle starlight fell on their bodies. Comfortable. Being enveloped by the starlight, the only thing they felt was comfort. It was as if their bodies had relaxed. Every pore on their bodies opened up, and every cell in their bodies started operating. At the same time, their minds were extremely clear. All the negative emotions in their hearts disappeared, as if their souls had been sublimated. This state, Lu Ming was shocked. This state was very similar to the feeling he had on the body tree stump, but the effect was much stronger. In an instant, dozens of secret techniques flashed through his mind. It was as if he had a new understanding of these secret techniques. The starlight was constantly seeping into his pores and activating his cells. It was constantly improving and strengthening his body. Not only his body, but also his taboo energy. Lu Ming felt that by absorbing this energy, his taboo energy would be strengthened. However, at this moment, the surrounding environment suddenly changed again. The stars disappeared, and the feeling of clarity also disappeared. They had returned to the underground space. Lu Ming looked around and saw Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, and the others. They all looked like they had not had enough. Obviously, they had also entered the starry sky. How do you feel? In such an environment, can your cultivation speed be greatly increased? The life spirit, the master of the heavenly court, asked. In such an environment, we can indeed improve quickly, but in 3 years, Lu Ming replied. Towards the end of his sentence, he started to ponder. Even in such an environment, it was still impossible to comprehend a second secret technique that belonged to him in 3 years. The array here is called the Divine Creation Array. As its name suggests, one can obtain supreme fortune in the array. This is a backup plan that I set up in the early years. I was entangled by the 3 lifetimes soul fire. The 3 lifetimes divine fire can continuously corrode one's body and soul, causing one to become muddle-headed and eventually sink into oblivion. Back then, I was severely injured and half of my taboo energy was sucked away. If not for the divine creation array to keep my mind clear, I would have sunk into oblivion. Even if I did not die, I would have become a walking corpse. Similarly, when an ordinary person is in the divine creation array, their mind will be clear and free of impurities and impurities. It can also strengthen the power of the soul, greatly increasing the comprehension of the living beings in it. Also, this formation contains a huge amount of treasures. Although I've used up a lot of them over the years, it still contains a lot of energy once it's activated. Most importantly, this formation also contains the spine of a primitive godly spirit. That primitive godly spirit is a primitive godly spirit that can control time and space. It can be said that it's the ancestor of the stone spirit and spirit rats. When it's in the formation, it can control time and speed it up to 100 times faster than the outside world. In other words, 3 years of cultivation inside is equivalent to 300 years of cultivation outside. The life spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, explained in detail. So mysterious, Lu Ming was excited. 3 years was equivalent to 300 years of cultivation outside, and in such an environment, it was entirely possible for him to comprehend his second secret skill. There are 2 main difficulties for you to become a divine master. One is to create a door that can be used to build a bridge to the universe ocean. This is actually very simple. It's easy to construct it using your own cells that have fused with the secret skill. The most difficult part is to comprehend your own secret skill. Once this is solved, it won't be difficult for you to break through to the Divine Master realm. Also, once I activate the array, all of you can cultivate inside. With your foundation, most of you can break through to the Divine Master realm. What do you think, little guy? Do you want to consider it? The life spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said in a tempting voice. End of chapter. Chapter 4488. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had to admit that the life spirit Heavenly Court Master's words were very tempting. Not only could he break through to the Almighty Realm, but so could Autumn Moon and the others. Once they did, their strength would increase tremendously. All right, I agree. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before agreeing. Under such circumstances, he had no choice. If he did not agree, they would all die when the heavenly human tribe refined the formation and broke in. According to the life spirit Heavenly Court Master, there was someone at the level of the Lord of Heaven among the heavenly human tribe outside. Previously, the Lord of Heaven was busy refining the protective formation and did not have time to attack them. Once the Lord of Heaven attacked, they would not be able to resist. The Lord of Heaven could kill them as easily as killing an ant. The difference was too great. If he agreed to the life spirit Heavenly Court Master's conditions, he would at least have a chance of survival. Even if the Lord of Heaven had evil intentions and possessed him, at least Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, and Qiu would survive. It could be said that he had no choice. Hence, Lu Ming agreed without hesitation. Lu Ming, young master, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and the others were worried. However, Anya Rose, Di Jenny, and the others were delighted. No matter what happened to Lu Ming, it was great news for Di Jenny and the others. Lu Ming glanced at Dark Night Rose and the rest. He really wanted to suggest to the Life Soul Heavenly Courtmaster to exclude Dark Knight Rose and the rest from entering the Creation Divine Array. However, on second thought, Lu Ming rejected the idea. With Anya Rose and the others' talents, it would not be a problem for them to break through to the Almighty Realm. It was just a matter of time. If they were not allowed to enter the formation now, they would be able to break through later. Another thing was that it was hard to predict what would happen 3 years later. Who knew if the Life Spirit Heavenly Courtmaster could deal with the people from the Heavenly Court after merging into his body? After all, the Life Spirit of the Lord of the Heavenly Court looked too weak. If Dark Knight Rose and the others broke through to the Godlord realm and became much stronger, they would attract a lot of firepower and change the situation. This was beneficial to Xian Yanqing and the others. After all, Dark Knight Rose and the others did not have any deep grudges with them. It was just that they had different ideologies. Even if it was Di Jenny, who had been enemies with Lu Ming in the Taishu dynasty, it was because they had their own masters. Hence, there was no grudge between the two of them. Alright, there's no time to lose. Let's begin. I'll open the array. You guys enter the array and cultivate. Lu Ming, if you have any questions, you can ask me at any time. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Then, let's start the formation. The voice of the Heavenly Court rang out. As soon as it spoke, the runes on the altar and the ground glowed again. In the next moment, Lu Ming and the others returned to the starry sky. They bathed in the starlight and sat cross-legged to cultivate. Lu Ming also sat cross-legged in the starry sky. He closed his eyes and began to cultivate. First, he had to open a door. A black hole would appear in the elixir field of others. That was the door to the Universe Sea. But he did not. He had to do it himself. However, it was not difficult. He had mastered tens of thousands of secret skills and had integrated them into the cells in his body. He only needed to use the cells that had integrated the secret skills as the foundation to create a door. His body began to shine with spots of light. Those were the cells that had been fused with the secret technique runes. Each cell was as bright as a star. What I need to do is to connect these cells together, Lu Ming said to himself and began to try. Soon, there was movement. A cell between his eyebrows shone. Then, a thread extended and connected to another glowing cell nearby. Then, a thread extended out from the second cell and connected to the third cell. In this way, the second cell connected to the third to the fourth, and the fourth to the fifth. About half a month later, the tens of thousands of cells in his body that had integrated the secret skill runes were connected. It was like a painting. Under Lu Ming's meticulous drawing, the tens of thousands of points connected to form a pattern. This pattern looked like a door. Open! Lu Ming shouted softly. All the cells in his body trembled. Taboo power gushed out of every cell and surged into the tens of thousands of cells. All of a sudden, the tens of thousands of cells shone brightly. Then, an extremely powerful force gathered in the middle of the door. The space in the middle of the door started to tremble and crumble. In the end, a pitch-black vortex appeared. This vortex kept spinning. It was unfathomable. No one knew where it led to. I did it. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He had finally evolved a door. This door was the door to the Universe Sea. Its effect was similar to the other people's black holes. However, the others evolved step by step through star cores and stars. He, on the other hand, evolved with the surrounding cells as the foundation and the forbidden power as the carrier. Senior, does my cultivation in the Divine Lord realm also require me to open a universal bridge through this door? Lu Ming's spiritual sense vibrated and sent out a message. He knew that the Master of the Heavenly Court could hear it. Sure enough, the next moment, the Master of the Heavenly Court's voice rang out. Not necessarily. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said, I can't say for sure. After all, there are too few taboo bodies in history. Before me, as far as I know, there was only one taboo body that cultivated to the Divine Master Realm. Unfortunately, that taboo body perished at the Divine Master Realm. As far as I know, when he broke through to the Almighty Realm, he didn't open a universe bridge. Instead, It was a platform. As he continued to cultivate, the platform would carry his consciousness deeper and deeper. However, that person didn't break through to the origin realm. I don't know what the result of his cultivation will be. As for me, what I opened was a path. A path paved with white jade. Following this path, you can reach the universe sea. Therefore, I speculate that the path to the universe sea created by the forbidden body may be different. The master of the heavenly court's life spirit said. Is that so? Lu Ming muttered. Now that you've opened the door, you can begin to comprehend your own secret technique. Once you succeed, it shouldn't be difficult for you to break through to the almighty realm. The master of the heavenly court's life spirit said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, the cells in his body dimmed and the door disappeared. Of course, it didn't really disappear. As long as he willed it, the door would reappear. In this aspect, he was different from ordinary cultivators. For ordinary cultivators, the black hole in their dantian existed at all times. However, the door he created could open and close at will. End of chapter. Chapter 4489. After completing the first step, Lu Ming began the second step, which was to comprehend his own secret technique. This step was also the most difficult. Because Lu Ming still had no clue. Lu Ming closed his eyes. Under the creation divine formation, his mind was clear and his comprehension was greatly improved. In his mind, all kinds of ordinary secret techniques and ancient secret techniques flashed continuously. Originally, Lu Ming had almost cultivated all of these secret techniques to greater mastery, but now, he suddenly had a new understanding of these secret techniques. Although there are many changes, there are still similarities. As long as I can comprehend the core and use it as a reference, it won't be difficult to comprehend my own secret technique, Lu Ming pondered. After reviewing all the secret techniques, there was only one secret technique left in his mind. Previously, he had only briefly reviewed them. Now, he was going to carefully comprehend each of the secret techniques. Buzz. At this moment, the primordial celestial stone in his sea of consciousness vibrated, and a mysterious aura spread out. On the primordial celestial stone, there were fine lines of runes. These runes seemed to be alive as they constantly swam and intertwined to form different patterns. Then, they scattered and intertwined to form new patterns. There were endless changes, and it was mysterious and unpredictable. Looking at these patterns was also beneficial to Lu Ming's comprehension of the secret technique. With the support of the primordial celestial stone, Lu Ming's comprehension of the secret technique became faster. When comprehending a single secret technique, he would gain new insights almost every moment. Lu Ming spent a day comprehending this secret technique, and then changed to another secret technique. In a day's time, Lu Ming's comprehension of this secret technique had increased by a large margin. Compared to before, it was much stronger, and its power was also much stronger than before. It was a step further. With the support of the creation divine formation, 3 years in the outside world was equivalent to 300 years in here. Therefore, Lu Ming had the time to comprehend all kinds of secret techniques. Fei Huang said that at the end of cultivation, one had to forget all the secret techniques that one had comprehended in the past. Only the secret techniques that one had comprehended were left in one's heart. However, Lu Ming was still very far from that level. They needed to reach reciprocity at the very least to touch upon that realm. At this stage, Lu Ming did not need to do that at all. At this stage, Lu Ming did not want to forget. Instead, he wanted to deepen his comprehension. After comprehending it to the extreme, then forget it. Lu Ming only spent 1 day on each secret technique. Of course, Lu Ming would spend more time on the primordial secret skills. However, there were only over 1,800 types of primordial secret skills. Even if he spent more time on them, it would not take too long. Just like that, time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Of course, these 10 years referred to the 10 years in the creation divine formation and not the 10 years in the outside world. That is, suddenly, Lu Ming felt that there was a powerful force not far away. This force was too familiar. It was Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming ended his cultivation and looked in that direction. Xiao Qing is about to break through. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Obviously, Xian Yanqing was about to break through to the Divine Master Realm. Anya Rose is also about to break through. Lu Ming's eyes moved and looked in the other direction. Anya Rose was also emitting a powerful aura. Obviously, she was also about to break through to the Divine Master Realm. Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose were already very close to the Divine Master Realm. In the highest immortal city, they were almost able to break through. They had been suppressing their cultivation and did not break through. After this period of cultivation, their breakthroughs were completely achieved when the conditions were right. Their auras were getting stronger and stronger, alarming the others. Autumn Moon, Wn Shen, Di Jenny, Yin Zhouling, Ling Heng and the others woke up and looked at the two of them. After a while, their auras reached the peak. With a loud boom, the two of them had entered the Divine Master Realm. Huff huff huff, in the starry sky, the stars shone brightly. Rays of gentle starlight gathered towards the two of them and were absorbed into their bodies. This starlight was actually the treasures in the creation divine formation. It contained a huge amount of energy and was extremely pure. It was constantly being converted into the two of them's power. These two, at this moment, the master of the heavenly court was also carefully sizing up Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose. The more he looked, the more shocked he was. This seems to be the power of reincarnation. Could the two of them be reincarnated? Who are they? Are they people from the previous era? No, judging from their expressions, they should have appeared later than me. Could it be that the younger generation has already mastered reincarnation? The master of the heavenly court could not calm himself down and let his imagination run wild. Slowly, Xian Yanqing and Anya Rose's auras stabilized and concealed themselves. Of course, they had just broken through to the Divine Master Realm and needed some time to consolidate. The others also began to cultivate, trying to break through to the Divine Master Realm as soon as possible. Lu Ming also began to cultivate again. He began to comprehend one secret technique after another. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed. In these 200 years, Lu Ming had comprehended tens of thousands of secret techniques. He had a completely new understanding of each secret technique. My secret techniques, Lu Ming muttered. In his mind, secret technique after secret technique flashed. The advantages and disadvantages of each secret technique appeared in his mind. Intertwine, converge, evolve, Lu Ming muttered to himself. His hands involuntarily danced. His 10 fingers streaked across the void like lightning, drawing out patterns. These runes intertwined with each other to form a secret technique. However, this secret technique soon collapsed and disappeared. No, it's still an ancient secret technique, Lu Ming muttered and continued to evolve. The secret technique that his hands had just formed was still an ancient secret technique. It was not a secret technique that he had comprehended himself. At most, he had only changed it a little and mixed in some other secret techniques. But it was far from being a secret technique that belonged to him. Continue. Lu Ming seemed to be crazy as he immersed himself in comprehending the secret technique. Time passed day by day. During this period, Wn Shen had broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Qiu Yu had also broken through to the Divine Master Realm. Even Qiu had become a 9th-level divine god after refining the incomplete origin divine weapon. In addition, Di Jenny, Yin Zhouling and Ling Heng had also broken through to the Divine Master Realm. However, Lu Ming was still focused on cultivating. Lu Ming's hands did not stop at all. He was constantly practicing the secret technique. A secret technique was formed and then collapsed. Soon, another few dozen years had passed. The secret technique that Lu Ming had evolved had a great change. In the beginning, the secret technique that he had evolved had the shadow of other ancient secret techniques. But slowly, the shadow faded. It seemed to form a new secret technique. The Apex. Chapter 4490. However, Lu Ming was still not satisfied. The secret skills he created later still had the shadow of other secret skills. They didn't seem to be very powerful, and there was a big gap between them and the heaven-breaking style. Secret skills, my own secret skills, the 3,000 ancient secret skills. There is no need to divide the secret skills into 3,000 types. There are too many of them. How powerful would it be if they could be combined into one secret skill? Not only were there ideas in Lu Ming's mind, but his hands were also dancing like lightning, reflecting the ideas in his mind. Suddenly, Lu Ming's body trembled. Hundreds of cells lit up, and tens of thousands of secret skills appeared around Lu Ming's body. They kept changing according to Lu Ming's thoughts, and finally, they slowly intertwined and merged together. But soon, with a bang, the secret skills collapsed and disappeared without a trace. He failed. However, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He felt that it was very feasible. Continue. Lu Ming continued to activate all the secret skills. Under Lu Ming's control, they continued to intertwine and merge, but soon, they still failed. However, Lu Ming didn't give up. He continued. Failure, 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 failure. Lu Ming didn't know how many times he had failed, but each failure gave Lu Ming some experience. The next time, the intertwining of the secret skills would last longer. Failure after failure, the experience after experience. Another 20 years later. At this time, Lu Ming had been cultivating for 260 years. He was almost 300 years away from the master of the heavenly court. At this time, the master of the heavenly court was getting weaker and weaker. Its eyes were dim and its breath was weak. Little guy, you have to hurry up. I can't take it anymore. The master of the heavenly court sighed. At this time, hundreds of heavenly humans were standing in the air outside the ground. Yi Wu stood in the crowd, his eyes full of expectation and ferocity. Soon, 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 this great formation will be completely refined. Han Ming, half of the taboo energy in your body will be mine. I will also suppress the taboo body, Yi Wuxin roared, filled with excitement and anticipation. Inside the Fortune Divine formation, Lu Ming was still comprehending. After failing a few more times in a row. Condense. All of a sudden, Lu Ming let out a loud shout as his hands danced at an astonishing speed. Tens of thousands of secret techniques rapidly intertwined and fused together. In the end, they actually formed a world. This seemed to be a continent. Mountains, rivers, flowers, and trees could be vaguely seen on it. Lu Ming stood on the continent as if he was the ruler of the world. This continent, could it be an imitation of the legendary desolate continent? The life spirit, the lord of the heavenly court, muttered to himself. At first, he was shocked, but then, he was pleasantly surprised. Success. He knew that Lu Ming had succeeded in comprehending a secret skill that belonged to him. Yes, the continent that Lu Ming had condensed was the secret technique that Lu Ming had just comprehended. Genius. What a genius. The secret technique that he has comprehended is even more amazing than I thought, the life spirit exclaimed in his heart. The life spirit of the heavenly courts was right. Lu Ming had indeed comprehended the mystic skill by imitating the primordial continent. In the last epoch, the entire universe, including the universe ruins and the current desolate universe, was actually a continent. It was a vast and boundless continent. Countless living beings multiplied on it and gave birth to countless overlords. This made Lu Ming fascinated. He had imagined the glory of the desolate continent more than once in his mind. Therefore, when he comprehended his secret technique, he had unknowingly deviated in this direction. After using the secret technique that he had comprehended in the end, he had also condensed the desolate continent that he had imagined. Disperse. Lu Ming's heart stirred and the continent under his feet dispersed. Condense. In the next moment, Lu Ming's hands quickly formed seals. In his body, tens of thousands of cells shone like stars. Tens of thousands of secret techniques appeared. Under the guidance of Lu Ming's seals, they intertwined and merged. In the end, another continent was condensed. It was not a fluke. Lu Ming had truly mastered this technique. This secret technique shall be called the desolate style. Lu Ming smiled. The first secret technique was called the heaven-breaking style. It meant to destroy the heavenly palace. This technique was modeled after the desolate continent and was called the desolate style. So far, Lu Ming had created a total of 2 secret techniques that belonged to him: the heaven-breaking style and the desolate style. Alright, Lu Ming, now begin to break through. Break through the bottleneck, connect to the cosmic sea, and enter the almighty realm. The voice of the life spirit rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming nodded silently. Then, he closed his eyes and let the starlight bathe his body. After a period of time, Lu Ming's state reached its peak. His body suddenly moved, and a dazzling light burst out. Desolate style. Lu Ming shouted softly. The aura on his body soared and kept rising. He rushed toward the peak of the Emperor God realm. Soon, Lu Ming's aura reached its peak. It had reached a limit. It was blocked by something and could not go any further. This was the bottleneck. The bottleneck of the forbidden body was stronger than that of others. It could not be broken unless one comprehended a secret technique. There were gains and losses. The power of the forbidden body was exchanged for a bottleneck that was more difficult to break through. Lu Ming's second secret technique, the desolate style, was displayed again. A vast continent appeared and suddenly pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body shook violently. There was a rumbling sound coming from his body. It was as if something was constantly shaking. Boom! Finally, Lu Ming's body exploded. Then, his aura suddenly soared like a flood breaking through a dam. It was unstoppable. He broke through. Lu Ming finally broke through the bottleneck and let his aura enter a new realm. However, this was not a real breakthrough. He was only half a step into the Divine Master realm. There was still an important step that had not been completed. The other cultivators had to open up the universal bridge next. Lu Ming also had to open up something similar. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Tens of thousands of cells that had been integrated with secret technique runes connected together and formed a door. Rumble. The space in the center of the door kept exploding. A pitch-black vortex appeared. At this moment, the vortex kept roaring and trembling. The light on the door frame on the side became stronger and stronger. Slowly, something began to emerge. It was the universal bridge. No, it was not the universal bridge, but something similar to it. A road. It was actually a road. At first, it was very blurry, but it slowly became clear. It was a yellow mud road. It was withered, ancient, and not big. It was only 2 meters wide. There's blood. The next moment, Lu Ming was shocked. He saw bloodstains on the yellow dirt road. A pool of blood dyed the yellow mud road red. He could not tell that this was definitely not an illusion. There was really a pool of blood on the yellow mud road. The peak. Chapter 4491. He had opened up a path leading to the universe sea on the door. It was a yellow muddy road, and there was blood on the yellow muddy road. Lu Ming was taken aback. He had never heard of such a thing before. The nature of the yellow mud road should be the same as the cosmic bridges of others. They were both paths to the cosmic sea and should be formed by energy. However, why would there be blood on a yellow mud road formed by energy? Lu Ming suppressed the shock and doubt in his heart and focused on breaking through. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The starlight in the starry sky kept rushing toward Lu Ming as if it was real. Lu Ming has also broken through. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wn Shen, Dark Night Rose, and the others stopped cultivating to watch Lu Ming break through. Lu Ming bathed in the rich starlight. The starlight was a vast amount of energy, and it was incomparably pure. It kept pouring into Lu Ming's body and turning into forbidden energy. Lu Ming's strength kept increasing, and so did his forbidden energy. A few days later, Lu Ming's aura stabilized, and his cultivation completely stabilized at the first level of the Divine Master realm. Lu Ming felt that the forbidden energy in his body was surging. It was much stronger than when he was at the 9th level of the Divine Master realm. That yellow mud road, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He realized that the yellow mud road had become much clearer, and it led all the way to the depths of the door. It extended into the darkness without end. Suddenly, Lu Ming's figure appeared on the yellow mud road. Of course, This wasn't Lu Ming's real body, but the manifestation of Lu Ming's consciousness. It was formed by Lu Ming's consciousness. This yellow mud road feels so real. Lu Ming's consciousness landed on the yellow mud road, and he carefully observed it. It was too real. The yellow mud road was almost exactly the same as the real one, but it had a special aura that gave people an ancient and lonely feeling. It was as if it had crossed over from an ancient era to time and space. Or perhaps it gave people the illusion that they had returned to ancient times. Lu Ming stepped forward, arriving in front of the pool of blood. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a piercing pain on his skin, as if he was being cut by a knife. His figure involuntarily retreated. This blood is real. Lu Ming's pupils shrank rapidly. He discovered that this blood was real blood, as if it had just been left behind by a terrifying creature. It contained terrifying killing intent. Just now, he had been forced to retreat by the terrifying killing intent in the blood. This was the yellow mud road that he had condensed. It was the road that led to the cosmic ocean, and he had complete control over it. However, something like this had happened, which made Lu Ming's hair stand on end. He felt that things were out of his control. What the hell was this thing that he had condensed? Whose blood was this? Why would it appear on the condensed path? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Let's ask Han Ming. Maybe he knows. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He dispersed his consciousness and restrained his aura. When he restrained his aura, the door on his body disappeared, and the yellow mud road in the door also disappeared. Lu Ming opened his eyes. Xian Yanqing, Mid-Autumn Moon, and all the gods came over one after another to be happy for Lu Ming. Haha, little guy, you've finally broken through. Not bad, not bad. Your talent is really amazing. However, if you don't break through soon, these old bones of mine won't be able to hold on any longer. The Lord of the Heavenly Court laughed, and his voice was much louder. Obviously, he was also very happy to see Lu Ming break through. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Lu Ming clasped his fists. I'm just the icing on the cake. The main thing is still up to you. By the way, what's condensed in your door? The Lord of the Heavenly Court asked. He was also very curious about this because he speculated that every forbidden body would condense a different path after breaking through to the Almighty Realm. Senior, it's like this. Lu Ming wanted to ask the Lord of the Heavenly Court, so he immediately explained his situation in detail. What? There are bloodstains. What's going on? After hearing this, the Lord of the Heavenly Court fell into deep thought. This situation was beyond his expectations. If it was just a yellow muddy road, he wouldn't be too surprised. However, there were bloodstains on the yellow muddy road that contained a terrifying killing intent. This shocked him. There's actually such a thing. I've never heard of it, nor have I seen any records of it in the ancient books. The Lord of the Heavenly Court frowned and looked at Lu Ming with both surprise and curiosity. Senior, you don't even know. Lu Ming's heart sank. He didn't know whether it was good or bad. Are there any other forbidden bodies after me that have reached the major success realm? Perhaps you can go and ask them. The Lord of the Heavenly Court said. The major success realm forbidden body he was talking about was a forbidden body that had reached the origin realm. In history, only 4 people had reached it. After I get out, it seems like I'll have to ask Senior Fei Huang. Lu Ming pondered. Bam, bam, bam. At this moment, there was a violent rumble. The starry sky shook and then collapsed. Lu Ming and the others reappeared in the underground space. This was the sign that the Fortune Divine Formation had stopped operating. The bronze statues outside have collapsed a little more. I can hold on for another 2 months at most before I run out of fuel. Fortunately, you've broken through. Lu Ming, let's begin, the Lord of the Heavenly Court said. The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, said. His aura was weaker than before. Clearly, he was truly on the verge of death. All right. Senior, you can begin at any time. This junior won't resist. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, young master. Xian Yanqing and Autumn Moon couldn't help but cry out. They were still worried even at this point. Lu Ming, why don't you just refuse? Let's kill our way out and fight to the death. The myriad gods shouted. You don't have to worry. Senior Hun Ming is an expert who has dominated the universe for countless years. Why would he care about my insignificant body? Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. Little guy, don't try to goad me into action. However, you're right. I really don't want your body. Let's begin. As soon as the Lord of the Heavenly Court spoke, his body emitted light and his eyes became incomparably bright. However, his eyes soon dimmed. This was because a ball of energy had rushed out of the Lord of the Heavenly Court's body. This was the condensation and manifestation of the Lord of the Heavenly Court's essence, vitality, and spirit. It also carried half of the forbidden power. Naturally, the Lord of the Heavenly Court wouldn't enter Lu Ming's body entirely. His body was covered by the third reincarnation soul fire. The third reincarnation soul fire was extremely terrifying. If it entered Lu Ming's body, Lu Ming would probably be burned alive. The ball of energy was extremely fast. In a flash, it rushed into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming didn't resist. He allowed the Lord of the Heavenly Court to do it. As soon as the Lord of the Heavenly Court entered Lu Ming's body, it took control of Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the half of the forbidden power seeped into every cell in Lu Ming's body. End of chapter. Chapter 4492. However, as soon as the taboo energy seeped into Lu Ming's cells, the taboo energy in his cells began to resist. It wanted to expel the taboo energy. However, the life soul was the master of the heavenly courts. After all, his cultivation level was extremely powerful. In the past, his realm was too high. His control of the taboo power was not something that Lu Ming could compare to. He soon found a balance. The two taboo energies coexisted peacefully and resonated with each other. It was not as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. The resonance of the two taboo energies had completely stimulated the hidden power of the master of the heavenly court. Moreover, without the interference of the 3 lifetime soulfire, he could unleash even more power. Very good. Now we can go out. Lu Ming's eyes shone brightly. With a wave of his hand, the ground above began to rumble, and a rift opened up in the ground. Above them, the heavenly human tribe powerhouses had been refining the protective array formation non-stop. After this period of refinement, more than half of the bronze statues had already exploded and collapsed. The remaining bronze statues were dull and lifeless, like ordinary pieces of metal. Even the 12 divine weapons were dimmed, and their auras were dispirited. It would not be long before they could completely refine the protective formation of the Master of the Heavenly Court. Then, they would be able to find the Master of the Heavenly Court, Lu Ming, and the others. Killing intent flashed in Yi Wu's eyes. Right at that moment, the ground began to rumble as a crack appeared on the altar. The altar began to split into 2 halves. Yi Wu and the others were stunned. The protective formation had not been completely refined. How could the altar open on its own? Could it be that the Master of the Heavenly Court knew that he could not hold on for much longer and wanted to fight with his life on the line? Get ready, Yi Wu said as he silently retreated. He was about to face the Master of the Heavenly Court, the Master of the Heavenly Court. It was impossible for him not to be afraid. It was better to let the others deal with him. He's already at the end of his rope. There's no need to be afraid. I can kill him with 1 blow, said an old heavenly human powerhouse among the 12 powerhouses who had set up the formation. His domineering aura caused the void to tremble and distort. This person was a genuine Lord of Heaven-level figure, incomparably powerful. Hundreds of heavenly humans stared at the altar. Soon, a crack that was several meters wide appeared on the altar, and a figure stepped out from it. It's him. That brat has a forbidden body. Yi Wu's eyes flashed with killing intent. The person who walked out was naturally Lu Ming. Following closely behind Lu Ming was Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and Wan Shen. Behind Xian Yanqing and the rest, Dark Knight Rose, Di Jenny and the rest followed and stood in a row behind Lu Ming. So it's you little bastards. That old man Hun Ming hasn't come out yet. Could it be that he's already exhausted and can't walk anymore? Is he waiting for death inside? Yi Wu sneered. When he saw that it was only Lu Ming and the rest, he became bolder. He took a few steps forward and his cold killing intent pressed towards Lu Ming and the rest. However, he was stunned and his face was filled with astonishment. This was because he had discovered that Lu Ming and the rest had made a breakthrough in their cultivation. This shocked him. Less than 3 years ago, Lu Ming and the rest were only rank 9 Emperor God Realm cultivators. Now, they had reached the Divine Master Realm. If only 1 or 2 of them had reached the Divine Master Realm, he would not be surprised. After all, Lu Ming and the rest had been rank 9 Emperor God Realm cultivators and were not far away from the Divine Master Realm. In 3 years, it was normal for 1 or 2 people to make a breakthrough. However, Lu Ming and the rest had made a breakthrough. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Wan Shen, Dark Night Rose, Di Jenny, Yin Zhouling, Ling Heng, and Xiu Wuji. A total of 9 people had made a breakthrough. The other 3 were slightly weaker and had not made a breakthrough yet. However, they were not far away from it. It was not normal for 9 people to make a breakthrough in one go. It seems like Han Ming did something. Han Ming must have paid a price for these people to make a breakthrough. However, does Han Ming think that it would be useful for these people to make a breakthrough? That's too naive. The Lord of Heaven sneered. 9 first-level divine masters were no different from 9 celestial theatres in his eyes. He could kill them with a single slap. Boom. The Lord of Heaven took a step forward and a violent aura surged out. He was about to attack Lu Ming and the rest. Don't make a move first. You have to guard against Han Ming's counterattack before he dies. Leave these brats to me, Yi Wudao called out to the heavenly monarch. At the same time, he took a step forward and walked towards Lu Ming and the rest. Very well. Lu Ming's eyes, or more accurately, Han Ming's eyes, looked at Yi Wudao with a murderous look on his face. Kneel. Yi Wudao swooped forward like a bird. He channeled half of his forbidden energy and combined it with his ultimate heavenly energy. He threw a punch at Lu Ming. He had used 90% of his strength in this punch. He was confident that even if Lu Ming had reached the Divine Master Realm, he would be severely injured by this punch. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. Whoosh! His body trembled slightly and disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, he was near Yi Wudao. He reached out his hand and grabbed at Yi Wudao. Lu Ming's hand enlarged rapidly and collided with Yi Wudao's fist energy. With a puff, Yi Wudao's fist energy was extinguished like a weak candle flame. Lu Ming's hand did not stop there. He continued to grab at Yi Wudao. Ah, impossible. Yi Wudao screamed in horror. Yi Wudao screamed in horror. He was in disbelief. His punch, which contained 90% of his strength, was easily broken by Lu Ming. How was this possible? He was shocked. He tried to retreat with all his strength, but he realized that he could not move. He was completely locked in place by Lu Ming's giant hand. No. Who are you? You can't be so powerful. Save me. Save me. Yi Wudao screamed in shock. He did not believe that Lu Ming was so powerful. He was a peerless genius with great combat strength. Even if Lu Ming had the forbidden body, it was impossible for him to be so powerful. Yi Wudao was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming, but he could not resist Lu Ming at all. It was impossible. The Divine Master Realm was not the Divine Emperor Realm or the Divine Emperor Realm. It was easy to overcome the difference of 2 levels. Before the Divine Master Realm, it was difficult to overcome even 1 level, let alone 2. Moreover, he was as weak as a little chick. This was completely impossible. Let go of Yi Wudao. The Lord of Heaven shouted and attacked Lu Ming with his palm. A heavenly monarch's attack was too terrifying. Xian Yanqing, Anya rose, and the others' faces paled when they saw the terrifying palm energy. They felt that they would be killed easily in the face of this attack. Chapter 4493. The Lord of Heaven. Only those who stood at the peak of Divine Master could be called the Lord of Heaven. Every single one of them was extremely powerful. They were basically invincible below reciprocity. They were far too powerful for Lu Ming and the others to contend with. Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and Wan Shen's expressions changed drastically. They could not help but worry. Could the Lord of the Heavenly Court, who was controlling Lu Ming's body, really contend with a Lord of Heaven? If the Lord of the Heavenly Court was at his peak condition, they would not have any doubts. He could probably crush a Lord of Heaven with a single finger. However, the life soul of the Lord of the Heavenly Courts was already at the end of its life. Even if it controlled Lu Ming's body and made use of Lu Ming's taboo power to fuse their taboo bodies temporarily and unleash powerful potential, could it really contend with a Lord of Heaven? They really had no idea. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming struck out as well. He struck out with his palm, colliding with the Lord of Heaven's palm. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion rang out. After that, the two figures involuntarily drifted backwards. The Lord of Heaven retreated, and so did Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming still held on to Yi Wu. He blocked it. Xian Yanqing and the others were overjoyed. Yi Wu and the others from the Heavenly Human clan looked like they had seen a ghost. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had actually blocked an attack from a Lord of Heaven. It was like a fantasy. You're not that kid. Who are you? Shock flashed through the Lord of Heaven's eyes as he stared fixedly at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered with him. He focused on Yi Wu. A powerful suction force erupted from his palm and enveloped Yi Wu. Ah! Yi Wu let out a miserable shriek. He could feel that half of the forbidden power in his body was about to be sucked out. Yes. The taboo power that had originally fused with all the cells in his body was now constantly surging out of his cells. It gathered together and rushed out of his body towards Lu Ming. "Han Ming, you're Han Ming," Yi Wu roared in horror. He finally knew who the person in front of him was. It was definitely Han Ming. Only Han Ming could strip the forbidden power from his body so easily. Due to the fact that the two of them had grasped half of the taboo energy, they were of the same origin, making it easier for them to separate the taboo energy. If it had been anyone else, regardless of how high their cultivation was, it would have been difficult for them to do so. What? Han Ming. The rest of the Heavenly Human tribe cultivators were shocked by Yi Wu's cry, and they stared at Lu Ming in horror. Could it be that Lu Ming had already been possessed by the soul? That must be the case. Otherwise, how could Lu Ming have become so terrifying? Stop it, Han Ming. The Lord of Heaven cultivator shouted and charged towards Lu Ming again. This time, he unleashed all of his strength. A halberd appeared in his hand, and he slashed at Lu Ming. The halberd contained a powerful heavenly annihilation power. Its power was terrifying and could destroy the world. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and waved his hand. His fingers moved quickly as he shouted, "Calamity of chaos." The next moment, a ray of divine light shot out from Lu Ming's finger and blasted towards the Lord of Heaven cultivator. Boom! The two of them collided for the second time. Just like before, both of them were pushed back violently. However, this time, the Lord of Heaven was pushed back less, while Lu Ming was pushed back more. Apparently, Lu Ming was at a disadvantage. Of course, this had to do with the fact that he was concentrating on extracting Yi Wu's taboo energy. At this moment, half of Yi Wu's taboo energy was about to be extracted. "Come out!" Lu Ming shouted and exerted force in his palm. With a whoosh, half of Yi Wu's taboo energy was completely extracted. It rushed into Lu Ming's body and merged with the taboo energy in Han Ming's body. Yi Wu's taboo energy originally belonged to Han Ming. The two of them were originally one. Now that they had returned, they merged perfectly. Yi Wu's eyes were filled with fear and despair. Now that Han Ming had extracted his taboo energy, the next step would be to kill him. However, Han Ming did not kill Yi Wu. Instead, he pressed his palm against Yi Wu's body. Yi Wu's body fell to the ground like a kite with a broken string, creating a large crater. Kill. The Heavenly Lord Realm powerhouse charged toward Lu Ming again. At the same time, the other members of the Heavenly Human tribe also launched their attacks. Numerous attacks surged toward Lu Ming. "You're courting death." Lu Ming spat out coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Boom. A terrifying aura surged out of his body. This aura was many times more powerful than the Lord of Heaven's aura. The attacks from the heavenly humans immediately collapsed when they were hit by this aura. Reciprocity. The Lord of Heaven narrowed his eyes. Without any hesitation, he turned around and fled. "It's too late for you to leave now," Han Ming shouted coldly. He slammed his palm into the air. In the next moment, a huge palm appeared above the Lord of Heaven's head and pressed down on him. No matter how the Lord of Heaven tried to block it, it was useless. When the palm pressed down, the Lord of Heaven let out a miserable shriek. His body exploded, and he died on the spot. An expert on the same level as the Lord of Heaven was killed just like that. The other heavenly humans were scared out of their wits. They felt a chill run down their spines. "Let's go." In the next moment, some of the faster ones turned around and tried to escape. "Kill." Lu Ming's eyes were cold. With a wave of his hand, beams of divine light flew out. Fart. Fart. 7 or 8 heavenly humans were struck by the divine light. They turned to dust and dissipated in the air. Turned to dust. These heavenly humans were all 4th-layer divine masters or higher. They were also the ones who had set up the array to protect Han Ming. Now, they had all been killed by Han Ming. However, after killing these people, Han Ming did not continue to attack. Lu Ming's body glowed, and a ball of light shot out. It was Han Ming. He brought the strand of forbidden energy with him as he charged down the crack in the altar. In the next moment, a powerful aura erupted from the bottom of the altar. A figure charged out. It was Han Ming himself. After obtaining the complete forbidden energy, Han Ming's strength skyrocketed. The 3-lifetime fire soul on his body seemed to have dimmed. It was suppressed by Han Ming's forbidden energy. "Life Soul Origin Stone, gather," Han Ming shouted as he grabbed the air with his hand. Lu Ming immediately felt the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment in his mind fly out of his control. "Ah! Lu Ming, save me!" Shi Ling, who was in the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment, screamed. However, Lu Ming could not help him. The Life Soul Origin Stone fragment was completely out of his control. It was not only his. The Life Soul Origin Stone fragments on Anya Rose, Di Jenny, and Xiao Wuji also flew out and flew into Han Ming's hand. At the same time, the Life Soul Origin Stone fragments flew out of Yi Wu's body. Chapter 4494. A total of more than 20 fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone flew into Han Ming's palm. In the end, they gathered into a complete crystal. This was a complete Life Spirit Origin Stone. It emitted a dazzling light that captured one's soul. A complete Life Spirit Origin Stone. "Wait, no, Ling Yue." Suddenly, Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. He thought of Ling Yue. Ling Yue also had a fragment of the Life Spirit Origin Stone in her hands. Now, a complete Life Spirit Origin Stone had appeared. This meant that all the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone had arrived. However, in the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, Lu Ming did not meet Ling Yue. And just now, other than Lu Ming, Dark Knight Rose, and the others, the remaining fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone had all flown out from Yi Wu's body. Didn't this mean that Ling Yue's Life Spirit Origin Stone fragment was also on Yi Wu's body? Could it be that Ling Yue had also come to the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, only to encounter a heavenly human race expert and be killed by him, and the fragments of the Life Spirit Origin Stone were taken away? Thinking of this, Lu Ming's heart couldn't help but tremble. He was panicking. He was really panicking. At this moment, the complete Life Spirit Origin Stone flew into the space between Han Ming's eyebrows. Immediately, strands of divine light spread out from Han Ming's body. The moment these divine lights appeared, the 3-world fire soul on the surface of his body became even dimmer. At the same time, his shriveled body became a little fuller, and his original appearance could be vaguely seen. This was a middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy physique. As his eyes opened and closed, they were filled with a domineering aura. "My treasure has been buried here with me for countless years. Now, it's time for it to appear," the Life Spirit Heavenly Court's Lord whispered as his palm made a grabbing motion in the air. This time, the direction of his palm was the cracked altar. At this moment, in the underground space, the altar that Han Ming had been sitting cross-legged on exploded with a loud bang. 3 rays of light flew out from it and flew to Han Ming's surroundings, circling around him non-stop. Everyone saw that there were 3 treasures. The first was a ring. The second was a battle sword. The third was a set of armor. Every single one of the treasures exuded an extremely shocking aura. Everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes as their breathing quickened. Could these 3 treasures be the 3 most precious treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court? Legend had it that the Life Soul Heavenly Court had 4 supreme treasures. They were all top treasures in the primitive universe. With the addition of the Life Spirit Vitality Stone, wouldn't there be exactly 4 of them? The Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, waved its hand. The battle sword and armor flew into his body and disappeared. Only the ring remained outside. I'll take the 9 Tribulations sword and 9 Tribulations armor with me. They're of great use to me. Lu Ming, I'll leave the ancient desolation ring to you. It'll be useful to you. Also, I'll leave these divine weapons to you. The voice of the Life Spirit, the Lord of the Heavenly Court, rang out. Before it finished speaking, it had already shot up into the sky, intending to leave this place. Senior, wait. Lu Ming shouted. He had one question that he had yet to ask, and that was about Ling Yue. He wanted to ask the Master of the Life Soul Heavenly Court if Ling Yue was all right and if she had come with the Life Soul Origin Stone fragment. Lu Ming, hurry up and cultivate. We'll meet again. Han Ming's voice rang out in the sky. Then, his figure completely disappeared. Senior, no matter how Lu Ming called out, Han Ming did not respond. Only the ancient desolation ring was still floating in the air, emitting endless temptation. Many people's eyes fell on the ancient desolation ring. Dark night rose, Di Jenny, Yin Zhouling and hundreds of heavenly human tribesmen. Han Ming had only killed 7 or 8 of the strongest heavenly human tribesmen. He did not kill the rest of them. Although these heavenly human tribesmen were almost scared to death and ran away frantically, they did not run far away. They had clearly seen what had happened just now. At this moment, their eyes fell on the ancient desolation ring, revealing intense greed. Han Ming left. Yes, he left the ancient desolation ring. The ancient desolation ring is one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. We must get it. It's mine. Suddenly, hundreds of heavenly human tribesmen rushed towards the ancient desolation ring. They were not the only ones. Dark night rose, Di Jenny and the rest were the same. This Han Ming, at this moment, Lu Ming was speechless. It was fine that he did not answer his question. Before he left, he said that he wanted to give him the ancient desolation ring. However, why did he leave the ancient desolation ring in the sky for everyone to see? Was this a test for Lu Ming? Lu Ming could only suppress his worry for Ling Yue and shift his attention to the ancient desolation ring. No matter what, he must obtain a supreme treasure like the ancient desolation ring. Moreover, the ancient desolation ring was originally given to him by Han Ming. Bang! Lu Ming stomped hard on the ground and his body soared into the sky. He pounced toward the chaos ring at an alarming speed. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon and Wan Shen also took action. They followed closely behind Lu Ming and rushed towards the ancient desolation ring. They were not here to fight for the ancient desolation ring, but to help Lu Ming obtain the ancient desolation ring. Kill. Scram. Before they even arrived, all sorts of attacks were already flying towards the others. Lu Ming's group also faced a bunch of attacks, most of which came from the heavenly human tribesmen. 3 third-level divine lords. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He discovered that there were 3 third-level divine lords among the heavenly human tribesmen. Third-level divine lords of the heavenly human tribesmen were extremely powerful. Even though Lu Ming's group had already broken through to the divine lord realm, they still had to treat them with caution. Heaven-breaking style. Lu Ming shouted. A spear quickly condensed in his hand, turning into a dazzling ray of light that shot towards one of the third-level divine lords. Bang! The spear light trembled and was shattered. However, the third-level divine lord's attack was also blocked. Dark night rose, Xian Yanqing and the others used their trump cards to block the attacks of the others. Kill. Lu Ming bellowed. Without stopping, the Bingxian rod appeared and a massive amount of taboo energy surged into the Bingxian rod. The Bingxian rod expanded rapidly and charged toward one of the third-tier Divine Master experts. Boom! The third-level Divine Lord was sent flying like a cannonball, blood spurting from his mouth. One had to admit that third-level Divine Lords were truly powerful. They were much stronger than second-level Divine Lords. Even though Lu Ming had broken through to the Divine Lord realm, he still couldn't instantly kill them. The main reason was that the gap between each level of the Divine Lord realm was too great. For example, if the gap between each level of the Divine Lord realm was 1 point, then the gap between the 9th level of the God Emperor realm and the 1st level of the Divine Lord realm was 1.5 points. Although Lu Ming had broken through from the 9th level of the God Emperor realm to the 1st level of the Divine Lord realm, his ability to fight those above his level did not increase as much after reaching the Divine Lord realm. Of course, compared to the God Emperor realm, his improvement was still significant. This was because the gap between each level of the God Emperor realm was only about 0.2 points. Chapter 4495. When Lu Ming was at the 9th level of the God Emperor realm, he could easily suppress a first-level Godlord with his full strength, but he was no match for a second-level Godlord. Even if he used the mysterious ice staff, he was no match for a second-level Godlord, especially one from the celestial race. All he could do was flee. Thus, now that he had broken through to the first level of the Godlord realm, killing a second-level Godlord wasn't difficult at all. It was even easier than killing a first-level Godlord when he was at the 9th level of the God Emperor realm. Even when facing a third-level Divine Master, Lu Ming could easily suppress the other party. However, it would not be that easy to kill them. Kill. Lu Ming let out a long howl and continued to attack. He was like an invincible god of war. The Bingxian cudgel swept out continuously. He was like an invincible god of war. Bam! 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 Lu Ming struck several celestial race experts in succession. A second-level God Lord screamed as his body was torn apart and he died. 2 other first-level God Lords were also killed, their bodies and souls annihilated. The other celestial race experts felt a chill in their hearts. They didn't dare approach Lu Ming and retreated. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared next to the primordial ring. A devouring power enveloped the primordial ring. It was Dark Knight Rose. Dark Knight Rose suddenly appeared next to the primordial ring, her devouring power erupting as she tried to take the primordial ring. However, a black lotus shot toward her with astonishing power. Dark Knight Rose had no choice but to focus and block it. She sent the black lotus flying, but she also retreated. Dark Knight Rose, Han Ming left this primordial ring for Lu Ming. Do you want to take it? Xian Yanqing coldly said as he took a step forward, pressing toward Dark Knight Rose. This primordial ring doesn't recognize Lu Ming as its master. Anyone who sees it has a share. Dark Knight Rose replied. She transformed into the heaven-devouring rose and exchanged several blows with Xian Yanqing. The two of them were very familiar with each other, so it was naturally not that easy to determine the victor. For a moment, they were in a stalemate. Instead, the other 2 third-stage Divine Master heavenly humans charged toward the Chaos Ring. No one could stop them. Wan Shen, Autumn Moon, Emperor Jenny, and the others were all sent flying. Kill. Lu Ming roared as the mysterious ice staff pressed down on the 2 third-layer Divine Master celestial race powerhouses with the momentum of Mount Tai. The mysterious ice rod was so huge that it filled the entire sky. It was like a vast mountain range as it crossed the void and blasted toward the 2 third-level Divine Master heavenly humans. The 2 third-level Divine Master heavenly humans were sent flying. Lu Ming was unstoppable. With a few flashes, he appeared beside the Great Desolate Ring. He reached out and grabbed the Great Desolate Ring. Damn it! When the heavenly human tribe saw that Lu Ming had obtained the Chaos Ring, their hearts were filled with envy and jealousy. After the Dark Knight Rose and Xian Yanqing exchanged a blow, they separated. When they looked at Lu Ming, they were very jealous and envious. This was one of the 4 supreme treasures of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court. The master of the Life Spirit Heavenly Court had taken away the other 3 supreme treasures. Only the chaos ring remained. Now, the only supreme treasure was in Lu Ming's hands. Buzz. Suddenly, powerful ripples came from the ground below as powerful auras spread out. Following this, 10 or so rays of light shot out in all directions. It's the guardian divine weapons of the life spirit heavenly court. After them. I must get one. Everyone was alarmed and chased after those beams of light. These beams of light were the 12 guardian divine weapons. Everyone's attention had been completely drawn to the chaos ring, so they had almost forgotten about the 12 guardian divine weapons. At this moment, the 12 guardian divine weapons began to vibrate on their own, as if they wanted to break through the air. Everyone finally reacted and flew toward the 12 divine weapons. Autumn Moon had her eyes on a soft whip. She flew up and pounced toward it. Wan Shen pounced toward a halberd. Xian Yanqing pounced toward a silver mace. Lu Ming pounced toward a long spear. The others, such as Dark Knight Rose and Di Jenny, also had their own weapons and pounced toward them. For example, Di Jenny naturally had his eyes on a battle sword. The Heavenly Human Tribe's 3rd tier and 2nd tier Divine Master experts also pounced toward the weapons. There were a total of 12 Guardian Divine weapons. Many people had their eyes on each of them and were fighting over them. Of course, the Heavenly Human Tribe had the most people. Many Heavenly Human Tribe members had their eyes on each of the Guardian Divine weapons. Kill. Lu Ming shouted, his killing intent cold. He did not show any mercy as he swung his mysterious ice rod. Rod shadows appeared and blasted toward the Heavenly Human Tribe members. There was no 3rd tier Divine Master among them. The strongest one was only a 1st tier Divine Master. The others were all 9th tier Divine Masters. How could they stop Lu Ming? Under the rod shadows, these Heavenly Human Tribe experts exploded one by one, their souls scattering. This wave of attacks killed dozens of Heavenly Human Tribe members, including the 1st tier Divine Master expert. The others were terrified and did not dare to compete with Lu Ming. They quickly retreated and rushed toward the other Guardian Divine weapons. Lu Ming grabbed the long spear with one hand. Great! Lu Ming was delighted. He swung the long spear a few times and felt that it was very comfortable. The long spear was still more comfortable. He had been using the long spear all this time. He had no choice in the past as he did not have a suitable long spear weapon. He could only make do with the mysterious ice rod. In fact, the mysterious ice rod was not as comfortable as the long spear. Moreover, his first move, the skybreaking move, was a spear technique. With the mysterious ice rod, it was very difficult to unleash its power. However, with this long spear, it was different. The heaven-breaking style could unleash a very strong power. However, he had not refined it yet, so he could not use it. Lu Ming put the long spear away. Autumn Moon. Lu Ming looked in the direction of Autumn Moon, his face darkening. Autumn Moon's opponent was a 3rd tier Divine Master expert of the Heavenly Human Tribe. Autumn Moon was no match for a 3rd tier Divine Master expert. Autumn Moon had broken through to the Divine Master realm, and with her strength, she could easily suppress a 2nd tier Divine Master. However, she lacked a source-level divine weapon. In terms of fighting strength, there was still a big gap between her and Wan Shen, Xian Yanqing, and Dark Knight Rose. She was no match for a 3rd tier Divine Master. Bam! Autumn Moon coughed up blood and retreated into the distance. The 3rd tier Divine Master of the Heavenly Human Tribe waved his hand, sweeping up the soft whip and putting it into his storage ring. Then his figure flashed as he charged at Autumn Moon, unleashing a destructive sword light. He wanted to exterminate Qiu Yu. You're courting death. Lu Ming roared as he activated the greater extreme light art. His body seemed to turn into an aurora, and in a flash, he appeared near Autumn Moon and swept out with the mysterious ice rod. Clang! The mysterious ice rod shattered the opponent's destructive sword light, and the attack did not stop as it continued to bombard the opponent. The opponent was sent flying like a cannonball, coughing up blood. Chapter 4496. Lu Ming injured a 3rd-level Divine Master Heavenly Human with one move. His figure did not stop at all as he continued to charge toward the other party. This person had wanted to kill Qiu Moon, so Lu Ming had placed him on his must-kill list. The third-level Divine Lord paled and hastily retreated into the midst of the other heavenly humans. He wanted to use the other heavenly humans as a shield. Kill! Lu Ming roared, his killing intent surging as he pushed forward. The heavenly humans in his way exploded, their bodies and souls annihilated. Lu Ming's speed was not affected at all, and he quickly closed the distance between him and the heavenly human expert. Swish! With all his strength, Lu Ming threw out the mysterious ice staff. Whoosh! 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 The mysterious ice staff pierced through space, whistling through the air as it smashed toward the other party. Fast, it was too fast. The other party did not even have time to dodge, so he could only do his best to block. The power of a third-level Divine Lord was fully unleashed. The heavenly annihilation power, one of the strongest heavenly powers, was fully unleashed, transforming into a grey sword light that slashed at the mysterious ice staff. Boom! There was a heaven-shaking explosion as boundless energy erupted from the point of collision, spreading out in all directions. Some of the heavenly humans with weaker cultivations who had not retreated in time were killed in midair. Then, a figure retreated, coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. It was the third-level Divine Lord of the heavenly human race. Heaven Sundering Style. The moment Lu Ming threw out the mysterious ice staff, he used the Heaven Sundering Style. As the heavenly human expert retreated, Lu Ming's attack also erupted. Swish! His entire body transformed into a spear of light that pierced through space, thrusting toward the third-level Divine Lord of the heavenly human race. This person had just been injured by Lu Ming and was forced to retreat. There was no way he could dodge or resist. The spear gleam transformed from Lu Ming's body pierced through the man's glabella. The terrifying power not only destroyed his sea of consciousness and soul, but it also destroyed his dantian completely, killing a third-tier Divine Master expert. Lu Ming rushed over. The spear light disappeared, and his figure reappeared. He was already holding a storage ring in his hand. It was the storage ring of the heavenly human race cultivator. In a flash, Lu Ming appeared beside Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon, are you okay? Lu Ming asked with concern. Young master, I'm fine. It's just a minor injury. Thank you for saving me. Autumn Moon said. At this moment, her complexion was much better. She was no longer pale. Silly girl, why are you being so polite with me? Here. Lu Ming said as he handed the storage ring of the heavenly human tribe member to Autumn Moon. Then, he looked around at the battle situation. At this moment, Xian Yanqing and Wan Shen had both obtained the divine weapons they wanted. With their fighting strength, this was not surprising. Both of them were in control of powerful weapons like origin-grade divine weapons. If they unleashed their full power, it would be easy for them to kill a heavenly human expert of the second level of the Divine Master Realm. They could even fight a heavenly human expert of the third level of the Divine Master Realm. If Xian Yanqing used his origin energy and unleashed his strongest attack, even third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race experts would not be his match. On the other side, Dark Knight Rose, Di Jenny, Ling Heng, and Yin Zhouling all obtained the divine weapons they wanted. There were also two third-stage Divine Lord experts from the Celestial race who had obtained a divine weapon each. In this way, there were only 2 divine weapons left out of the 12. A group of people surrounded the last 2 divine weapons and fought crazily. At this moment, Xian Yanqing, Wan Shen, Dark Knight Rose, and the 2 third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race experts all rushed toward the last 2 divine weapons. Swish! Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the last 2 divine weapons like a beam of light. Oh no! Seeing Lu Ming charging toward them, all of the heavenly human race experts were shocked. Lu Ming's fighting strength was too strong. Everyone had seen how he had killed the third-level Divine Lord heavenly human race expert. No one present was Lu Ming's match. The heavenly human race experts were furious and unwilling to accept this. If not for the fact that the 4th-level Divine Lord heavenly race experts had been killed by the Life Spirit Master of the Heavenly Court, any one of them could easily suppress Lu Ming. How could Lu Ming be so arrogant now? But now, They had no choice but to retreat when they saw Lu Ming charging toward them. Set up the formation to deal with them, roared a third-level Divine Lord Heavenly Human Race expert. He wanted to set up the 9 Heavens battle formation to deal with Lu Ming's group. The Heavenly Human Race had nearly 4 Divine Lord Heavenly Human Race experts and more than 200 9th-level Divine Lord Heavenly Race experts. After setting up the 9 Heavens battle formation, its power would be astonishing. The Heavenly Human Race experts immediately began to set up the formation. Great Sealing Art. Lu Ming thrust out his palm. Dense runes covered the void and intertwined together to form ribbons that climbed up the bodies of the Heavenly Human Race experts and sealed them. Heavenly Demon Field. At the same time, Xian Yanqing also attacked. He used the Heavenly Demon Field to envelop the Heavenly Human Race experts and prevent them from setting up the formation. The Heavenly Human Race experts were greatly restricted by the Heavenly Demon Field. For a moment, they couldn't set up the 9 Heavens battle formation. Suddenly, the expressions of Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others changed. Because a terrifying force suddenly came from the ground, crushing toward Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing. It was a fist energy formed by countless tiny lightning bolts. It was the power of heavenly punishment. Wherever the fist energy passed, the void collapsed. Lu Ming didn't hesitate. He waved the mysterious ice rod and attacked. At the same time, Xian Yanqing also attacked. He controlled the origin-grade divine weapon, Black Lotus, and it pressed down like a mountain. Boom! Boom! The 2 weapons collided with the fist energy of heavenly punishment. However, the result was that the 2 weapons shook violently and were thrown into the air. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were also thrown into the air by the strong recoil. Lu Ming retreated for 100 miles before he steadied himself. He waved his hand and the mysterious ice rod returned to his hand. However, his qi and blood were in turmoil. Xian Yanqing was in a worse condition. Her face was pale and blood was seeping out of the corner of her mouth. She was clearly injured. Yi Wu. Lu Ming muttered. His face was gloomy. At this moment, a burly figure stepped into the air and slowly rose to the sky. This person was Yi Wu. Lord Yi Wu. It's Lord Yi Wu. That's great. Lord Yi Wu is fine. Ha ha ha, we can turn the tables. The Heavenly Human Race experts were ecstatic when they saw Yi Wu. Previously, Yi Wu was captured by the life spirit of the Heavenly Court. Half of his forbidden energy was extracted and he was smashed to the ground. Everyone thought that Yi Wu had been killed by the life spirit of the Heavenly Court. Now, it seemed that Yi Wu was fine. He wasn't injured at all and his aura was still very strong. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.